Definitely needs more sugar. I should film like this, but that light is going to be really annoying, so I'm not going to do that. But I do love a nice lens flare. See Kiva getting in touch with her wild roots. Kiva, what you doing? Are you in the bush? Hi friends. Looking to see if the neighbors can see me. They probably can. Whatever. It's fine. Welcome to episode 115 of the Quirky Monday Craftcast. My name is Kalisha, and you can find me anywhere online as Nadira Tani. My furry little co-host today is Kiva. She also has a hashtag on Instagram, if you didn't know. Her hashtag is Kiva the Jacoby. I also have Tootie, who's hashtag Tootie the Pup, but she had to go inside. She doesn't like being outside for a long time. Kind of dog. Anyway, can I stop petting you now? All right. I'm coming to you from my home in Central Florida, and I think today is Thursday. This is my second day working from home, and I already can't remember what day it is. I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. But yes, I hope that you and your family are well and staying safe and not going too stir crazy if you're in the house. Our county is going on the stay-at-home restrictions like tonight. So today is like the last day of driving around. But so I am officially working from home until some point in the future. So let's get into the podcast today. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say to you guys, but I can't remember. So we'll just jump into admin. First, I wanted to mention that the Pisces season make-along, which was originally scheduled to end on March 20th, I did go ahead and extend it to April 1st because I'm the boss and I can do that. And I just wanted to have more time to delve into these colors that really give me a lot of joy. Not like I couldn't do that outside of a make-along, but yeah, why not? So yeah, the Pisces season make-along is extended until April 1st. So if you're sharing your things on Instagram, definitely use hashtag Pisces season MAL. And you can also post your finished objects on Ravelry and our finished objects thread that is up and running. I did try to move finished objects from the chatter thread into the finished objects thread, but I don't think that's something that Ravelry allows me to do. It was like you can move everything, but not just one. That's fine. So definitely go post your finished objects over there. I have two prize packs. One will be for the Ravelry finished objects thread, and one will be for the Instagram hashtag. So opportunities to win something, y'all. These ants are rude. I brought a cup of tea outside with me. It's buttermint tea by I think Twinings, and there's one ant swimming in my tea right now, and 2, 3, 4, like 6 ants on the cup. I don't think I'm going to be drinking this tea anymore. It makes me a little bit sad. Do you like my mug? I got it from IKEA a long time ago, and I really like how it's kind of watercolory. I like it. Here you go, ants. Enjoy the tea. You're welcome. Yeah. that's everything for the Pisces season make along. I will put some pictures of finished objects at the end, so you guys can kind of see what other people have been up to. Yes. So with that, let's go into bright spots. So I have 2 bright spots from last episode that I want to share with you guys. Bright spots are basically comments that you guys leave in the comment section, but of positive things that happen to you, or good things, like, you know, those positive things that we want to share, especially in this world we're living in now. I think that it's very good to have a place to share the good, happy, uplifting things. Yeah, and I think it's a great thing. I can't tell if those streaks of light are on the screen or in the camera, so I do apologize if there are streaks of sunlight. I don't apologize. I'm not going to move because I feel like this is a very good spot, but it's Florida, endless summer. At least that's what the license plates say. Anyway, bright spots. These are a couple bright spots from last episode. First, we have one from Snickerdoodle Knits, and she said, oops, my bright spot has definitely been my knitting and the beautiful weather these last couple days. Yes. I feel like I haven't been knitting that much, but definitely we have been having some good weather here as well. But knitting and making, always bright spots. And then we have a bright spot from Lisa, and hers is kind of a story, which I found very pleasant. It says, I just came back from walking my little dog around my neighborhood. The sky is dark as it is about to start raining. A few houses down, there were Christmas lights lit up along the porch. That looked so cheery to me. A few houses beyond that, a gentleman drove by and we waved to each other even though we don't know each other. Then I passed a row of mailboxes on a post. Someone printed out and laminated a heart emoji and stuck it there. All of those blessings were from one 20-minute walk. I feel warm inside knowing there's hope in my little neck of the woods. I really enjoyed reading that bright spot, because one of the things that I am trying to focus more on are like the little silver linings, you know what I mean? Like the other day I was headed to the post office and I saw, I'm assuming it was 2 parents and their child riding bikes together. And it was probably around 4:30 in the afternoon when I saw them. And I immediately thought, what other time could this family have done this on a weekday in the afternoon, just being able to ride bikes together? And it kind of made me feel like, while it's a terrible reason that everyone is at home right now, it's really awful with the virus and all the people who are getting the virus and everything like that, and the devastation that it's causing. But it has given, I feel, families another opportunity to be together and to be in each other's space and to spend quality time together without the hustle and bustle of our regular normal goings on. And I'm trying to look at things like that, especially when I start feeling anxious or get overwhelmed with the thought that this insanity is happening. But I try to think of those things, like how many families are getting to sit down to dinner together, right? You know what I mean? I was also watching a vlog, the Sorry Girls, I think it was a vlog, but Kelsey of the Sorry Girls was saying that it's amazing when you think about it that everyone in the world is going through this experience at the same time, which is bananas to think that everyone in the world has a common experience at a specific time, at the same time. Like, when does that happen? But it's interesting. It's interesting. But yeah, so I would love it if you all would share your positive moments, bright spots, good things in the comments down below. I tried to grab a couple or a few each episode to share with you guys. I think I forgot to share some last week, but I do my best, y'all. So that's everything for admin, and we will go into finished objects. And I have a couple finished things, and then I have some half finished things. So first, I'm gonna show you my weaving project. I finished it. So it's all finished, like the weavy bits. I just have to watch a couple videos on getting it off of this loom so that it can actually be a wall hanging. So it looks really nice from the front. I'm very proud of this. This stitch here, I think is called the loop stitch or the pile stitch, and then this is just a plain weave, and I think the plain weave is called tabby weave. I could be wrong, but it's plain, just regular over under over under. This fiber here is Showstopper, and then this is Random Acts of Acrylic Stash Yarn. I'm gonna show you the back. It looks like, yes. Ooh! Okay. I have to figure out how, like, what to do about that. Like, part of me just wants to cut a square piece of fabric and hot glue it to the back and be like, you're good. But I think I am gonna go and weave in some ends and maybe trim the fiber bits down in the back. But you know, I have this fringe happening down here, and yeah, so this will be off of the loom soon and hanging in my bedroom. And then I think I'm going to I'm going to start another weaving, but just warp like half of it and make something like that. I think that's the plan. Yeah, and I finished, like, I showed you guys, where was I? I was like here when I showed you last time. And I actually finished this whole thing while sitting in the bed on last Sabbath. My dad is a pastor, and he was doing their church service through Facebook Live. So I was able to sit and listen to my dad preach, which I haven't heard him preach in years. And it's funny how something that you kind of take for granted when you're little, when you get to be a grown-up, you really value those things. So it was really nice to be able to sit and listen to a sermon from my dad. And I did this. So that is all done. I'll put it over here. It's going to be covered in ants. Oops. The next finished thing I have, well, the next few finished things I have are all like visual art in my notebook. So I bought these watercolor markers from Five Below, and they're basically like a brush marker with, I guess, watercolor paint in them, or ink or whatever. It's not ink because it's watercolor, whatever. But you can paint with the marker and then go back over it with a water brush and blend the colors together. So I was playing around with those recently, and actually these are not showing up true to color. But those are basically what the markers look like. I got 2 packs, so I have a full rainbow and gray and black. And then this is the ink straight out of the marker, and then this is after I went over it with a water brush. and they're called the Art 101 Creative Tools Watercolor Brush Pens. So I've been playing around with watercoloring, and I have this painting that I did. Obviously I was thinking about the Pisces season make along when I did this, and I just kind of started doodling. I was doodling, and then I started painting on it, and then I got my gold pen. This is like a gold marker, and put some little accents on it, and I really enjoyed that. I did a Instagram TV video of that process and of creating it, so check it out if you want to. I also painted, there are ants in between the pages. Why? They're so curious. I also painted this, which this was supposed to be an arrowhead plant leaf when I started, but it didn't work out. So this is my next one. And I was practicing like blending the colors together and stuff like that, trying to draw something realistic. Because one of the things that I've really gotten into recently is watching artist studio vlogs. And they're just so inspiring. And it's so cool to watch someone else in their creative process, like their day-to-day creative process. And it just makes me want to like cultivate that practice within myself. So your girl was trying. So that was my drawing and watercolor play around kind of thing. And then I picked up, oh, that's a big bug. Okay. Then I picked up, ooh. Okay. Then I picked up my block printing, my block carving again. And I've been practicing on like those big erasers that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I have actual blocks to make real stamps on, but I want to like practice designing the image and cutting the image before I start using like the expensive pieces. But I did this one. And you can kind of see it. It says, thank you for being, what does it say? Thank you for, what do I say? Thank you for being a part of my universe. And I did like a little planet. And so I carved that out of an eraser. And this is what it looks like when it's printed. And I think that looks really cool. And I specifically made it this size so that I can stamp it on the back of my business cards whenever I send out stuff for Quirky Monday Crafts. And like you can see my process in coming up with that layout. But I really like how it came out. And then I painted it in with the watercolor markers because I was having a moment. And I really, really like it. I'm very proud of myself with that marker, that stamp. Is that everything? Those are all of my finished pieces. And then I have some half objects that I wanted to show you guys. So first we have my Mexicala stripes socks. I finished the first one. I don't remember if this was finished during last podcast, but it's finished now. Ends woven in and everything. And here is its mate. Now, I think I need to take a break from knitting socks because your girl can't count. Or maybe it was because it was very late at night when I decided to do this. But last night, I started watching the Umbrella Academy, and I blame Hannah of the Cozy Cottage Crochet because she was like raving about it. She even has a pattern, the Vanya cowl, that's designed based on one of the characters. Anywho, I started watching it. I really enjoyed it. I binged the whole series, or not the whole series, the whole season in like 2 days. And I was watching it last night and knitting on this sock. And I think I started like around the yellow stripe last night and just blazed my way through the foot. Then I counted, or I thought I counted correctly. I didn't. Finished this whole sock. Sock done. and then I held them up to each other, and this sock was a good centimeter shorter than this one. So I went back, realized my error, and I considered like putting in a lifeline, or not a lifeline, putting the needles in and cutting the knitting, so taking the toe off, kind of like you would for like an afterthought heel, whatever, but taking the toe off, knitting the couple extra rounds, and then Kitchenering it back on. And then, because I didn't want to knit another toe, and then I was like, that's stupid, I'm just gonna frog it. So I frogged the toe, and I have knit all of the extra rows. Now I'm ready to re-knit the toe. So these will be done tonight. And I like how they both start with the pink orange yellow bits, and then they're both going to end with orange toes. So at glance it kind of looks like they're matching because the big orange blocks match up, but they're not. They don't match. They're actually going opposite directions as well. But I didn't think I liked this colorway when I first started, but it's definitely grown on me, and I kind of want to buy some more of this colorway, because I've really been thinking about incorporating this kind of yarn into a garment and kind of trying to figure out how that would look or what that would be like. And this colorway, it's the Mexicala Stripes colorway by Patton's Croy Socks, I think. Yeah, Patton's Croy Socks. My last half object is a face mask. So I think I mentioned it. I may have mentioned it last episode, that a couple of my friends work in a hospital down here, and they've asked me to make them face masks, because of course there's shortages on personal protective equipment in a lot of hospitals around the country. So they asked me if I would make them some masks, and I told them of course. So this is, I think this pattern is from, I can't remember exactly whose pattern this is off the top of my head, but I will link the patterns that I'm using in the down bar, just in case you want to try to make masks yourself. Of course, they're not like N95 quality masks, like filtration wise, but it's better than nothing, you know, when you're in an environment where there are sneezes and coughs. So they specifically told me that they wanted like African cloth or kente cloth patterns. So I made this one. I still have to figure out the tie situation, because the pattern that I'm following calls for elastic, but elastic is sold out, y'all. Like, it's gone. I went into Joann's yesterday on my way home, and the elastic shelves looked like the toilet paper shelf in Walmart. Like, it's just empty, all elastic, just gone. So I thought maybe I could use hair ties, but they don't stretch as much as the elastic that the pattern calls for stretches. So I think what I'm going to do is just make fabric ties or use ribbon. One of the two. Have to figure it out. But this is how it looks. The pattern piece looks like this, and then you just do a whole lot of sewing and a whole lot of top stitching, which I really need to practice my top stitching skills. But not too bad. So I'm going to make 2 in this style for each of my friends, and then 2 of there's like a rectangle one that has pleats in it. I'm going to make 2 of those for each of them, so that they have options. One of my friend's husband also works in that hospital, so I'm going to make some larger ones for him as well. And you know, probably keep cutting them to donate or something like that. I know a lot of hospitals are putting out like specific information as to what kind of handmade masks they will accept as donations. So I would definitely say to, if you want to donate handmade masks, to check like the hospitals around you if they're accepting things like that, if they have restrictions or special qualifications that they want, or special fabrics or anything like that. I don't think I'm not going to be making them like en masse to donate to my local hospital, because I have been looking at their website and they don't have, I haven't seen that they have any information about donating masks, handmade masks up there yet. So I don't want to be like, hey guys, here you go, you know, if it's not something that they're accepting. So yeah, so that's my other half object. Don't worry, I didn't put it on the ground. It's on top of some other stuff. Oh my gosh, there's like a whole colony of ants in my tea now. You guys are so disrespectful. It's an auntie. I really found that funny. If you didn't find that funny, you know, not sorry. Okay, so that's everything for my finished objects and half objects. Now we can talk about my works in progress. And first, I do want to mention my Celestarium shawl by Audry Nicklin. Haven't worked on it at all this week. Haven't even taken it out of the bag. And my Just Feel Better shawl, which is a pattern by me, I haven't worked on that one at all either. I kind of feel like I might frog that one. It's the one, it's white and it has a whole bunch of textures. I'm kind of feeling like frogging it because it's not bringing me the joy and the feel better that I want from it. So I may restart it with a different yarn or something like that. But I'm not going to frog it now. I'm just going to kind of, you know, put it on the back burner and see what happens. But those two projects I haven't touched this week. So let me show you what I have been playing with. And it's not on the needles. It's not on the needles because I already told y'all how I can't count. Evidently I can't math either. So this sausage is the beginning of a cardigan that I wanted to make. And just like a regular top-down raglan cardigan made out of this yarn. This is Loops and Threads Charisma Tweed in the honey colorway. And yeah, this is what it looks like. It's not what it's supposed to look like. I don't know what kind of math I was doing. I even had diagrams and everything. I made a gauge swatch. I don't know what happened, but I really want the collar to be like that wide as opposed to the boat neck situation that I have going on here. So it's not on the needles because one, I wanted to see how wide the neckline was because I couldn't tell because it was squished up on the needle. But two, definitely gonna frog this. 100% gonna frog, gonna start over. I'm gonna redo the math so that I can figure out where I went wrong. I don't even know. But my plan is to use this pattern, or not this pattern, use this project in the make along or the knit along that, oh, it's Akira of the Knitting Annihilator podcast. She has a knit along for sweaters that's starting on April 1st, and whips are welcome. So this obviously isn't going to be more than 50% done by then. So I'm going to be knitting a sweater along with my friend Akira. Hi Akira. And I'm going to rip this out and remath it. But that is one of my big works in progress that I'm thinking about. But the other thing that has taken all of my crafting time has been 2 quilts. So I'll show you the first one. So I was inspired by this bag. This is my patchwork bag that I made using the scraps from my last bag update. And I have, when I cut my main fabric for my bags, I end up with a lot of kind of strips that I can't really use for like in a bag again. I mean, I could, and make just like they would all have different sizes of the fabrics, but it's not something that I'm really looking to do right now. So I end up with a collection of rather large scraps. So the beginning of this week, I decided to start a patchwork quilt. And I cut all of my leftover Ankara African print fabric. So it's basically all of these. I cut all of these into like 5.5. The squares are between 5.5 and 5.25 inches. And I sewed them together. I think I cut a total of 90 squares or 100, don't remember. But I have it pinned to the batting already. But this is the gist of it. I really like it. I really like how funky the colors are. But there is order to the chaos. Can I get this straight? Okay. So every other row has a repeat. Like we have this fabric and then the bread fabric. They go there. And then this one is the bread fabric and like a kente pattern there. And then the in-between rows are just kind of all the other fabric squares that I cut that I had less than the amount that would take to do a full row. So I think it's going to be really, really cool. So I did this one, and when I finished piecing this one together, I still had a stack of squares. So of course, what do? You make another one. So this one looks like this. And this is like really small. I think what I'm going to do with this is maybe make it into like a floor pillow, or yeah, probably just a floor pillow. And this will honestly probably get taken over by the dogs. But all of the black squares were given to me by one of my mom's church members. A couple years ago, she gave me a huge bag of fabric, just like de-stash, just here you go, like trash bag full of fabric. And inside there were a bunch of pre-cut black squares, and then like a bunch of other fabrics that had already been cut into squares for quilting that she never did. So I used these, and I still have a good stack of these black squares left for something else. Funny thing about this, these two fabrics here would have been perfect to make my friends' masks out of, but they asked me to make the masks the day after I cut all of my fabric into squares. So I'll show you the fabric that I went out and bought more of. So yeah, that's everything for works in progress. Now I just have to figure out what I want the back of these quilts to look like. I'm not going to do anything fancy for like the actual quilting. I think I might just stitch in the ditch. But I need to decide if I want the backing to be a solid fabric or some sort of pattern. I'm leaning towards solid because the front is so active. Or another idea could be to use a solid piece of African print fabric as the backing. But I don't know if I want to do that. Like if I want to sacrifice that much of one print to a project. So I'm probably going to end up using like a sheet as the backing. But that's everything for works in progress. I don't have anything on maker plans right now, primarily because my maker plan is to rip out that sweater and start it over again. Yeah. And I'm still very inspired by the watercolor painting, so there probably will be more watercolor paintings in upcoming episodes. So yeah, nothing specific on the maker plans front. And I guess from there we can jump into stash positions. So I have some pre-lockdown stash positions, pre-lockdown thrifted stash positions. So one of the things that I like doing, like whenever I feel stressed out or like anxious or anything like that, I'll go and like walk around in a store. And I like to walk around in craft stores and thrift stores. Probably not the best idea for me because I love shopping in craft stores and thrift stores. But this particular time I was walking around in the Goodwill and I was looking for pots. I was looking for pots for my new plant obsession. And surprisingly, plant pots are super rare in my Goodwill. What? So maybe when restrictions are loosed, I'll be able to go to another area Goodwill and maybe I'll have better luck with plant pots there. But I did luck out and find a bag of yarn. Now whenever I see, like, they always pack a whole bunch of yarns into one like plastic bag and they sell the whole bag. So I always look and see what's in the bag because a lot of times there'll be some really good yarns mixed in with like tangled masses of whatnot. And this time I really lucked out. So the bag that I got, it was one of those like the plastic zip up bags that they put comforters in. So it was probably about that big. And they were selling the whole bag for $6. And I looked in it and they had this yarn in there. This is Plymouth Yarn Company Encore. It's an acrylic yarn and there were, I think, 5 balls of it in that bag. And I know I've seen this in local yarn stores here, so I knew that one of these would run me about $6 by themselves. And I was completely correct because the price tag is still on this one. So originally it was $5.99. So I basically paid for one of these balls of yarn and got a ton of other yarns, which is really awesome. So I had 1 blue, 2 pink, and 2 orange. So I don't know if I'm going to use them all together in something or if I'm going to split them apart, just have them in my stash, whatever like that. But that made buying the bag absolutely worth it. And then when I got it home, I opened it up and this was in it. It's a granny triangle shawl and it's made out of like a ribbon yarn. And there was another ball of this ribbon yarn in the bag as well. So if I wanted to do something else with this kind of yarn, I still have it. And this is all kind of in a rainbow colorway, I think. But how cool is that? Got a ready-made shawl with fringe. I've never put fringe on a shawl. So this is gonna give me an opportunity to like test out if I like fringe on a shawl, which I think I kind of do. So this was in there. And also a few balls of this yarn. This is Serdar Snuggly Baby Bamboo Double Knitting. This is 80% bamboo from viscose and 20% wool. And it is a pale yellow color, and I think I have like 4 balls of this, or like a quantity of 4 balls. Each one is a 50-gram ball, 104 yards, and they have the tag still on this one, and these were individually $7.20 originally. So huge win in the thrift store. Now there's one other yarn that I want to show you that came in that pack. When I opened up the pack, it did smelled kind of like smoke and other people. So I brought the whole bag outside and I let it air out for a couple of days, and now they're fine. But this yarn was in there, and at first I thought it was a hand spun, but I'm not sure. There's no tags or anything on it. and it just looks like a whole bunch of recycled fibers. So I'll probably use this in some sort of weaving because it is a single, and is it a core? No, it's just a single super funky yarn. So that was a fun discovery in the bottom of that bag. So I have plenty of yarn to play with while I'm at home, and plenty of plans and ideas and stuff that get sparked by surrounding myself with my crafting things. So yeah, that's everything that I got from the thrift store, right? Yes. And here are the fabrics that I got. I just got a yard. I asked for a yard, and after they measured out the yard, there was like a quarter of a yard left, so I got the remnant as well. So this one you will recognize from my quilt, then this one is pretty cool, and then this one as well. So I'm gonna make a couple masks out of these, and then the rest will go into my stash to be made into bags. The last thing on stash positions that I wanted to share with you guys, oh, there's two things. See, I'm glad I write notes. Last week I mentioned that I had purchased some fiber from MIRLA Fibers, and it came. This is a blend of superfine merino, faux fibers, Firestar, and sari silk. I bought two, I'll keep it back here. I bought 2 bats from her, and each one of the bats is a 2-ounce bat. I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna attempt to take it out. I don't know if this is gonna work. Oh, this is sealed, like you ain't getting in here. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's not closing. I'm gonna have to put this back in like a Ziploc bag. But here is one of the bats. Wow, it really fluffs up when you bring it out of the bag. So, like a pale, almost mossy green it's got hits of pink, blue, there's a little bit of orange in there, but it's mostly green and white. But I really like that. And I really enjoyed spinning my first bat from her, as you guys would have seen last week. How was this done? Oh, maybe this way? Yeah. And then it was rolled this way. So I have 2 of these. So my plan with this is to do another 2-ply. And I'm going to spin one whole bat onto one bobbin and the second bat onto another bobbin, and then ply them together. And I think I'm going to practice my fine spinning, really be intentional about trying to draft it very finely. So that's going to be something that I really have to focus on. And the last thing, I actually put this in my notes to share with you guys last week, but I forgot. So, how old am I? 34. So 4 years ago was my 30th birthday, and the 30th your 30th birthday, or every 30 years, is your Saturn return. And it's like, oh, you know, when Saturn returns, you kind of have like a life crisis or something like that, or it's like big changes in your life or something like that, I think. But I was looking for things like putting them on like a birthday wish list, and there's a company called Haptic Lab, and they make quilts and quilted garments and stuff like that. And they also have do-it-yourself quilt kits. And what I loved about them is that one of their quilt kits was the Northern Night Sky. And y'all already know I'm already doing the Celestarium shawl, which is basically the Northern Night Sky, all the constellations and everything. So this quilt kit is that same thing. and I've wanted it ever since my 30th birthday, and I'd never like pulled the trigger on buying it. And then recently they had a sale, so I was like, oh, you guys have a sale, it's my birthday. I bought this probably like the week after my birthday, and yeah, it came maybe a couple weeks ago, and here it is, the Northern Stars. And let me see if I haven't even opened it, like opened the envelope. Okay, I'm not gonna open the envelope because I don't want to take all the pieces out, but I will put a picture of what the finished quilt will look like. And it's basically, I think you only quilt like the longitude lines, and you do embroidery for all the stars. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. But I'm super excited about this. When it came, I carried it around with me. I took it to work with me. I carried it around with me. I was very excited. So obviously there can be no lack of starry goodness in my life. So there's that. I guess I will also mention my shirt in Stash Positions because this is a new purchase as well. I got this for my birthday. It is a shirt from Tea Turtle. Tea Turtle is one of those sites. I think I found it on Instagram, came across it on Instagram, and immediately fell in love with like their style. It's kind of like punny a little bit, like Crafty Girl with the dinosaur, because Jurassic Park, I think she was called a Clever Girl. I think it was Blue who was called Clever Girl. But I love it. I have quite a few of their shirts, and they do, a lot of times they will do 50% off sales. Like I got this shirt for $12 plus shipping, so pretty good price actually. But I really enjoy it. Their shirts really make me smile, and I need to gather all of my Tea Turtle shirts together just so that I can like wear them all in a row and just feel awesome. So that's everything for Stash Positions. So we'll go into Life and Whatnot. And Life and Whatnot for me is probably this very, very similar to Life and Whatnot for you. Kind of touched upon it at the beginning, but I'm officially working from home now. Before it was you can work from home if you want or if you're uncomfortable coming into the office, because we didn't have like the same restrictions on moving about as much as there were in the north and in more densely populated areas until today. But in my office there's two of us, two executive assistants. So one of them was working from home, well, the other was working from home, and I was going into the office. And then Friday when I was at work, there was like nobody there, and pretty much students weren't really coming in, you know, to drop off anything, because technically campus is closed like to students and stuff. So you would only have occasional students coming to drop off like clinical work and stuff like that. So I talked to the vice chair and I was like, do I really need to be in here? So we had decided between us that we were going to come in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday just to make sure that, you know, if there were faxes, they were put in. If students needed to drop things off to their professors, they could, blah, blah, blah. So that was our plan. And then I think it was Sunday or Monday, there was kind of a whispering of this lockdown might happen. And then Monday, for the vast majority of the day, it was just me and the vice chair in the building. So we were both sitting there like, we don't need to be here. So it was actually Monday that we decided we were going to do every other day coming into the office. Because, I mean, if there's only like two of you guys in the office and you don't work in the same actual office room, you're basically social distancing. So we were like, all right, so we're gonna do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, come into the office, it'll be great. Tuesday, I worked from home. Tuesday night, it was announced on the news that my county was gonna have this lockdown. So yep. So Wednesday, I went in and just got all of my stuff. I stayed in there for a couple hours to make sure that all of the voicemails were set up, so that people wouldn't expect us to be able to answer, or they wouldn't have the expectation that someone would actually be in the office. That signs were put up for the students to know where to drop off documentation if they did come and nobody's going to be in the office. Just making sure that I had everything that I would need to work from home, as well as making sure that everything was set up in the office in a way that made it simple for anyone that showed up. They would know what to do or anything like that. But there shouldn't be anybody showing up. Everything's online now. So I'm going to turn this just a little bit because the sun is setting. All right. Now I'm off center and it bothers me. All right. So yeah, Wednesday I worked half the day in the office and then the last half of my shift from home. And today I've been working from home. Now, I knew within myself that going into the office, even though nobody else was going, me going into the office myself was definitely one of those things that that helped me stay calm, and because it was like a normal thing. It was something that helped me maintain that normalcy. And I knew that the time would come where I wouldn't be able to go into the office, and I was kind of worried about how that transition would feel to me. And I think I was kind of right to think about it ahead of time and to kind of not really work through, because I didn't work all the way through it, but to kind of pregame the feelings that I might have when working from home. And I have been feeling, specifically today, like yesterday and today, knowing that this lockdown is coming into effect. And it's not a lockdown like you can't leave your house at all. Like, you can still go grocery shopping, you can still go to like the doctor's office or something like that, but they're like, just try not to. Don't leave your house if you don't have to. So this was like the first day or the last day of freedom. And thinking about that has had me feeling more anxious and more uncertain. And it's the uncertainty that really does my anxiety in. I couldn't sleep last night. I was up to like 3 something in the morning, just awake, just eyes just open, which is probably why I had to frog that sock, because I was like stress knitting at night, stress knitting at 3 in the morning. That's why your girl can't count. Too much on her brain. But I'm just trying to adjust to the workflow of working from home, because the job that I have, it's not like you have these things to always do. It's kind of like, all right, what's coming up? What do I need to work on to make sure that what's coming up goes smoothly? But I can't really plan for things coming up because we don't know if the things coming up are actually happening. So it's a whole lot of uncertainty, and I'm realizing that uncertainty is a huge stoker of my anxiety. So I'm just trying to work around that, learning to set up a new workflow for myself. And there are 3 of us working from home right now. Me, my husband, and my brother-in-law. Like, we live with my brother-in-law. And there's 3 of us working from home. So I have basically been spending my entire day sitting in my little craft area, which is where I set up my computer, because I don't want to come into the living room because that's where my brother-in-law is working, and my husband is working in the bedroom. So I'm just kind of like, I might end up like putting the chairs back in the car and working out there. Not really. I do need to get an extension cord so that I can sit out in the backyard and work. I think that would be something that I could possibly do, depending on how hot the sun gets, because Florida. But you know, it is what it is. Everyone is adjusting to these new patterns, these new schedules, these new expectations, and trying to keep going with business as usual in a situation that is very unusual. So I'm trying to give myself a little bit more grace and a little bit more space to feel and acknowledge the things that I am feeling when it comes to all of these changes. One of the things that I did do that I want to add to my regular scheduled programming is I did a yoga class. Nina of Brujadelana is a yoga instructor, and she did a Zoom class. I did her class last Tuesday. I think she's doing Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Like Tuesday and Thursday evening, and then Saturday morning. And I really enjoyed the class. First of all, Nina has like the best energy. Like, she is so cool. And she has a podcast, if you didn't know. If I remember, I will link it down below, but it is Brujadelana. And she's really, really cool. But she did a Zoom class, and it was only my second time being on Zoom in ever. So I'm learning all of these new video conferencing things and all this new stuff. It's the learning curve, man. But yeah, that was really cool. I felt like a complete noodle after the class was over. My legs and arms were burning, but it was nice. My knee was a little bit sore afterwards. I think I just need to get a thicker yoga mat. But knee soreness, it just comes with the territory of my life. But I don't know if I'm going to do her class tonight. I don't know. We'll see. But definitely, if you are looking for a yoga class, you can follow her on Instagram, and you can reach out to her on Instagram to get the link to join the Zoom class. But it was a really, really good class, and I was very happy that I did it, because yoga is something that I want to get back into. And the last yoga class that I went to here, it wasn't a really good experience for me. I didn't enjoy that class at all. So it was nice to be able to kind of redeem yoga with Nina. So that is something that I want to add to my regular experience, or my scheduling these weeks. I did have a plot twist. I actually called my mom, and I was like, Mom, there's been a plot twist. And she was like, what? I said, Mom, I think I miss people. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, man. Like, just having the option to go and visit friends or hang out with friends or just be physically close to my friends is something that I miss. Yeah, the idea of introvert Kalisha missing people just kind of threw me for a loop and made me laugh a little bit. But I think it is definitely something that I'm feeling. Just wanting to be around my friends and be able to like hug my friends or something like that. But it'll come back. It'll come back. So yeah, I think that's everything. The sun is about to set. You guys have seen the whole like changing of the light. And the light right now is actually really nice. But I'm going to end this here. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to talk to you guys about. Let me check the notes. No, that's everything. I really want to take a sip of my tea, but the ants have legitimately taken it over. Like, look at this foolishness. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see that. Look at that mess. Y'all don't even drink tea. Oh, there's 2 ants swimming in there. These ants, guys. But yeah, so that's everything. Definitely leave a comment down below of something positive that happened to you, or a positive word that you want to share with all of us. You know, I hope that you're well. And thank you so much for being a part of my universe. I will see you guys later. Actually, yeah, I think I'm going to like try to film shorter videos, like the little Quirky Monday tidbits that I do. So maybe there'll be a little bit more content, and maybe you'll see me before next episode. Who knows? Also, my neighbors have put up a tent in their backyard, and I am so jealous. It's like a 3-room tent, and like I'm big jealous right now. Like, I want to go tent camping. For real. Like, I know I said my goodbyes already, but when I was younger, I was a part of the Pathfinder Club, which is like the Boys and Girls Club, but in the Adventist church. It's basically the same thing. You go camping, you earn like honors or patches, learn skills, tie a whole bunch of knots, light fires. Light fires makes it sound like a bunch of pyros, but like learn how to light campfires. And I loved camping. Camping was so much fun. Like, my favorite thing about when we would go on campouts was after you had everything set up, and we would go like for night hikes, like walking through the woods. And I remember this one time where we were, you know, doing a little night hike, and we got to like a clearing, and everyone, or like the counselors or the teachers were like, okay, everybody turn off your flashlights. And just the amount of stars that you could see out in the woods was breathtaking. And then when you were quiet and your eyes adjusted, you could just hear how much life there was in the woods. It was just amazing. And that's something that I would love to get back into. Just like camping and being out in the woods amongst the trees is something that I definitely need to get. Every so often, I feel like there's things that I need to like reconnect with. Like, sometimes I feel like I need to go to the beach. I need to get to the water. Like, sometimes my mind says like, you need to get to the water. And when I'm able to do that, and I'm able to like put my feet in the water, I just feel like and sometimes my mind is like, you need to get to the trees. And there have been times where I would go walking in the woods and just being quiet, and the smell of the grass and the trees and the wood and everything, just the nature smells, it's just something that I really miss. And I had an odd experience the other day where I don't remember if it was a video that I saw on Instagram or something, but it was either a photo or a video of the woods. And when I saw it, I smelled it. And it was so amazing. And when I realized that I was smelling the woods, like smelling the memory of the woods, I tried to focus on it, and it just flitted away. But it was just so cool. Like, but I need to get back into nature. I need to put my feet on the ground. I need to wiggle my feet in some dirt. I need to put my hands on some trees. And I need to take a big breath. Yeah. Have a great and safe week, y'all. Yeah. Bye.